this, let's bring in Fox News contributor and former CIA station chief Dan Hoffman. Dan, welcome.
Good to see you, Mike.
President Trump at West Point on Saturday spoke about the war in Ukraine. Let's play it. I'll get you to react.
You're in a business and profession where things change as rapidly like warfare, the type of warfare. Unfortunately, we're getting to see it with Russia and Ukraine. And we're studying it, and it's a very terrible thing to study. We're seeing the drones that are coming down at angles and with speed and with precision. We've never seen anything like it.
Dan, what's your assessment of the prisoner exchanges this weekend?
Yeah, look, the prisoner exchanges have been ongoing over the past couple of years. Ukraine and Russia have engaged in prisoner swaps. These were reportedly the largest that we've seen. Ukraine and Russia just completed a swap of 1,000 civilians and military, so that's a good step. It's not what I would call a confidence-building measure that's going to lead to real peace negotiations. The two sides are way too far apart for that.
Is it one step forward and two steps back when you consider the Russia missile and drone barrage this weekend?
I think Russia's making it clear that they're happy to conduct prisoner exchanges, but at the same time, they're going to continue to rain down hell on Ukrainian cities, target innocent civilians as they've done since the onset of this barbaric invasion. Russia talks about getting to what they call the root causes of the war. They've refused to agree to President Trump's proposal for a 30-day ceasefire, to which Ukraine agreed. What Russia wants, root causes for ending the war, that's Kremlin speak for Ukraine's surrender, which Ukraine is not about to do. They are desperately fighting to sustain their independence, and they're fighting for their territorial integrity and their sovereignty.
Any sign that Vladimir Putin is serious about a deal?
I don't think there is, and I think President Trump reportedly had a discussion with some of our European NATO member partners just to that effect, where the president essentially said Putin doesn't want peace. President Trump has tried to entice Putin to the negotiating table with promises and discussions of commercial deals, and that hasn't gone the way we would have liked. The question now for the United States, just following up on the president's remarks about this just barbaric and destructive war, the most destructive land war in Europe since the Second World War, what else should we do now that the Congress has secondary sanctions lined up? Senator Graham has talked a lot about that. So that's one thing that certainly that we can do to bring a little bit of pressure to bear on Russia.
To Syria, here is Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
If we had not done sanctions relief last week, and now the EU has followed suit, then our partners in the region could not have provided donor dollars so that transitional authority could try to stabilize its governance of the country. That place could have collapsed within weeks and become an ISIS playground once again.
Is it important to promote peace and stability with the new Syrian government?
Absolutely, and I think there was a lot of bipartisan support for eliminating those sanctions. It's a challenge. Look, the government of Syria is led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. That's was a terrorist group that we had designated as such. They were formerly a part of al-Qaeda and the Nusra Front, but they've changed their stripes, and they are reportedly trying to bring some peace to the country. This is a trust but verify situation, and the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, is going to have to get his team out there meeting with Syria's General Intelligence Directorate to determine that they are actually serious about stopping terrorism in Syria. Also, we want to make sure that Iran doesn't renew their relationship with the government of Syria. We don't want a land bridge to Hezbollah that Iran has enjoyed for decades. Also, Russia's relationship with Syria. We'd like for Russia not to have the use of the naval base there and a Navy base in Tartus and an air base in Latakia, also an issue for us. And then chemical weapons and prisoner Austin Tice, still reportedly in Syria. We need to get to the bottom of that. So there's a lot of work to do now for us to follow up, but this is the right step.
To Iran, we're nearly out of time, but 5 rounds of nuclear talks, no breakthrough. How do you assess that one?
Yeah, this one we're just down in the depths of a very challenging negotiation here. Iran doesn't want to talk about their ballistic missile program or their support to proxy terrorists. They want to be allowed to enrich uranium. That's a red line for the United States. Israel is poised to strike Iran, and I certainly think the United States would follow along with a strike if we feel like we have to. But I think President Trump right now is trying to give peace every chance with Iran.
Dan Hoffman, some great analysis there. Thank you so much for your time this holiday weekend.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.